Ladies and gentlemen, I am outraged. Never have I been so triggered by such a story. Look at this. Honeymooners broke quarantine to get pizza. How dare they? Such a crime cannot be tolerated by a sane, rational civilization. I demand they be arrested. Oh, they were arrested. Well, serves them right for going and getting pizza. Who would have thought in our society people would go out and get pizza? For shame, for shame. Well, in other good news, violent criminals are being released from prisons and then being arrested again for committing more violent crimes. You get the bit. I'm kidding. They're releasing serious criminal, people who have committed serious criminal offenses, people who have committed violent crimes, who are then going out and committing violent crimes again. And this is what you're doing with your time. Arresting some young people for going to get pizza. I love it. How ridiculous is our society becoming? Look, I understand. The reason why they're letting out inmates is because, I agree to an extent there's a rights issue here, but the idea is they don't want an outbreak happening in these jails. People who are trapped in these small cells and in these enclosed areas, you'll see the coronavirus spread, through the system, and it's what will cause serious health problems. I also believe there's a constitutional issue there. Do you have a right to lock someone in a box full of a disease? That I don't agree with. I think we have a responsibility to the people that we imprison. I don't like them for committing crimes. I think they're bad people, but I think we have to have a certain level of dignity and human value when we lock people up. If you are going to take the responsibility of taking someone's freedom away, I understand some would argue they lost their own freedom. They gave up their freedom when they committed crimes. The point is, look, you can exile them, put them on a boat, kick them out in the ocean, right? No, we've decided we're going to take a big place and we're going to put them in there. We are now responsible within varying degrees, for their safety. If a virus starts sweeping through, well, we have a serious problem. I'm not saying I think the answer is to release them. There's probably other things you can do. Start social distancing everybody and, taking strict measures within the prison to stop the spread. Instead, they're letting people go and they're arresting honeymooners. Check this out. California honeymooners who repeatedly broke quarantine restrictions are scoffed at Hawaii hotel manager who read them the rules they did scoff at the hotel manager, and they were arrested for going out to meet friends and eat pizza. Elon Musk recently tweeted free, liberate, or he's like freedom or something. And he said something about, in a phone call, forcing people to stay in their homes is fascism. And then all these news outlets were like, no one is being forced to stay in their homes. That's not true. They are. All right, well, let's read the story and see what happened to this couple. And you already get the general idea of these other stories. Check this out. Dozens of NYC inmates back in jail after coronavirus release. Before we read the honeymoon story, though, make sure you go to youtube.com/Timcast. Because I found out recently, a lot of people don't realize I have multiple channels. So if you're a frequenter of this channel and you don't know, youtube.com/Timcast is like my original big channel. I do one video per day at 4 p.m. Subscribe if you haven't. Some people were asking me about it. Here you go. It's mostly political. You can see what I talk about. It's very much the same thing as this, slightly different. But let's read the story about the honeymooners. They say, a California couple honeymooning in Hawaii were arrested by local authorities for allegedly violating the 14-day quarantine rules. Boris Liusky, 20, and his new wife, Yulia Andrichenko, 26, of Citrus Heights, were arrested for allegedly flouting quarantine rules repeatedly while staying at a hotel in Waikiki. The couple's arrest was announced in a statement released by the Hawaii Attorney General's office titled, "From the Honeymoon Suite Cell Block." Hawaii authorities said the couple scoffed at the hotel manager, who warned them of the state's mandatory quarantine rules for visitors. Liusky, a Ukrainian national, and his wife, a naturalized American citizen who grew up in Ukraine, were first informed of the quarantine requirements by the hotel manager when they checked in just after 10 p.m. on Wednesday. They reportedly disputed the manager, saying they were told by airport screeners that they were under no such obligation to shelter in place. And therein lies the big problem. All right, let's jump over to let's talk about some more serious crimes. Dozens of NYC inmates back in jail after being released. You land. A guy at the airport says, nah, you don't got to worry about it. You say, okay. Then some hotel manager tells you do. Why would you believe the hotel manager? And for that matter, why are you arresting people for going out to get pizza? Just ignore them. Or just bring them back to their hotel. It's that simple. You see somebody walking around outside, You walk up and say, sir, ma'am, there is a 14-day quarantine. And when they say, well, I refuse, you say, okay, come with me. And you bring them to their hotel and you leave. And then maybe they go out again. But seriously, going to arrest people over pizza? Well, this is what they're doing. They're having to rearrest real criminals. The New York Post reports dozens of inmates freed from city jails over fears they were vulnerable to the coronavirus have wasted no time plaguing the city with new crimes, the Post has learned. At least 50 of the 1,500 inmates cut loose amid fears of the spread of COVID-19 behind bars in recent weeks have already landed back in jail. And in some cases, were set free yet again. Yes, like this guy. Man in Glendora arrested, released 3 times in one day due to emergency policy. You know what, man? This is not working, okay? None of this makes sense. You've got people all over the place. We are disorganized. We are confused. The economy is collapsing. People are going hungry. 30 million unemployed. And we're arresting and releasing people 3 times in one day. Just don't arrest the guy. Just let him go commit crimes, right? Is that the idea? No, you can't do that. Then maybe you stop releasing them. It's like, what is it? It's like a paradox. It's like an endless loop. It's recursion. It's like, the policy in jails is to release inmates, and then the police have to arrest criminals. So they arrest the guy, put him in, and then the policy releases them. So they arrest the guy, they put him in, and so on and so forth. And it's not going to stop. Here's what they say over at the New York Post. The reoffenders, just over 3% of those released, include a Rikers Island inmate initially jailed for allegedly setting his girlfriend's door on fire and choking her mother, who was released early only to return to the Bronx apartment and allegedly threaten to kill the whole family. You know why we lock people up? Sometimes it's because they're dangerous. Many times it's because they did something that they should have been legally allowed to do, like consume a substance that they deem fit. I'm very libertarian on this issue, so sue me. The point I'm saying is, if you're a violent criminal that tried to hurt people, yeah, we lock you up because we don't want you to. And we try to make you stop. In fact, there are many ways. There's court orders, injunctions, restraining orders to try and stop you before you go to jail. But when you set someone's door on fire and choke someone, we've deemed at this point, you're probably going to hurt them. We'll lock you up. So what happens? He gets out because they're worried about the virus and he goes and threatens the whole family. Perhaps it was not wise to release someone who already expressed the intent to kill other people. You know what? You want to save people's lives from the coronavirus. It doesn't make sense to release people who are threatening death on others, does it? You'll end up taking more lives. Another prisoner who was accused of assaulting a Department of Homeless Services officer and was later set free was arrested for punching an agency sergeant just 2 days after his release. Yet another who was serving a 60-day sentence for theft was charged with burglarizing Queens Sing Farm grocery store to the tune of more than $9,000 3 weeks after his release. It is so obvious. Oh, good job, boys. Glad to hear that you arrested those naughty Californians who wanted to get their slice of pizza. Good job. And then thank you for releasing the violent criminals and burglars who went to commit more crimes as soon as they got out. Now, look, most of the people who got released didn't commit crimes. But it does seem silly that we're releasing all these people. There's an interesting conundrum, right? If only 50 people reoffended and got arrested and 1,450 didn't, do we really want to risk the lives or the health of all of those inmates because some of them will reoffend? Actually, I think here's the problem. You let them out. You should be who's responsible for them committing the crimes? I guess they are, right? The individual. But come on. You had custody of these people. You knew they were criminals. We all agree that when someone commits a crime, they get put away or fined or something, but get punished. And the people who get put away are put away for a reason. I don't agree with all of it. I think there's, innocent people end up in jail often. But if you decide to release them against the wishes of what we expect and they commit a crime, don't you bear some responsibility for the crimes they commit? In the end, we end up kind of filtering back the really bad criminals, and they put themselves in a really bad position. So I'll put it this way, man. If you were worried about getting sick in jail and then we release you and then you go commit a crime and get arrested again, well, now you can't worry about anything because you chose this. You chose to go and commit the crime. And the 1,450 people who didn't commit crimes don't want to go back to jail. Well, good on them, I guess. I'll tell you what, I am no fan of how our criminal justice system works. I don't think jails and prisons work, or at least not properly. They often harden people, and the jail sentences are way too long for many offenses. Like, you could go to jail longer for logging onto someone's computer if you don't own it than you could for, harming a child, if you know what I mean. A lot of this doesn't make sense. A lot of the laws are backwards. And if we really want to stop people from committing crimes, this isn't the way to do it. If someone's a violent offender, right? You lock them up because you don't want them to hurt somebody. And that, I don't know how long it takes. If someone was, consuming an illicit substance or something, it doesn't make sense to have these exorbitant and really long jail sentences, in my opinion. They need rehab. Now, if they're dealing, that's a different story. Ultimately, I just think we have kind of a system that seeks to punish instead of rehabilitate. And we need to rehabilitate. Otherwise, you'll just end up with recidivism. People get out, they're angry and desperate, and they commit crimes. I mean, you ever see the movie Ant-Man with Paul Rudd? Movie's great, by the way. The dude goes to jail for some, corporate civil disobedience. And then when he gets out, he's a felon now, so he can't get a job anywhere. So he resorts to crime again. How do we avoid this? We need real rehabilitation programs. And what we're doing right now, it ain't working. But I'll tell you what, I'll wrap it up. What they're doing right now, releasing all these criminals and arresting people for getting pizza, also is not working. So I have no idea what's going to happen, but we'll leave it there. Thanks for hanging out. Next segment will be coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m., and I will see you all then.